Hello, listeners of Channel 6 Jovian Radio. As always, I'm here and you're there, wherever there may be. Today I got a message from Juno Station asking about my supply load. All good here. Food printers well stocked, engines running well. My old girl loves a good drift in orbit. And, of course, by drift I do mean about 12 kilometers per second to avoid falling in and burning up in Atmo. I know the station hates to check on me all the way out here and stuff. They're my closest base, though, so gotta do a drive-by every now and then. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they stopped by less. Should be passing Ganymede's orbit today, if I've calculated right. Can't give y'all video this far out from the stations, but I'll do my best to describe her. Last I saw, she was still the same. Oh, I'll get back on mic when I see her, but right now my tea's ready, so I will catch you right after this short break.
Hello, and welcome back to our Let's Play world. Today I have been quite busy already, but it's not very interesting. It's just me placing blocks in the nether, so we will get to that in just a minute. I will have future Jupiter plug in some footage from that, but I have finished the orange nether tunnel. Yeah. Yeah. I have no life. Yeah, so that's not gonna be a huge focus on today. Just gonna pop it in after the intro. But today, I want to get a horse, and that is what we are gonna do. So, why don't we go over to the village where I saw some horses and get a speed test set up. Okay, yeah, I know. It's been 35 seconds into the video, and we're already back here. So, two things you might have noticed. That last episode, I had 0 title cards. And that is because they are painstaking to make, and it's just very annoying. So I think, for now, I'm going to switch to a different font, basically, so that I can do it in DaVinci Resolve, which is what I use to edit, if anyone was curious. I use OBS to record. I have a blue snowball microphone that I still was given by my dad, and I use DaVinci Resolve to edit. So, if anyone was curious or wants to make their own videos, it's very low cost. It's great. Yeah. What was I saying? Tangent much? Okay. Yeah, the title cards are going to change slightly, just because of the amount of work that it goes into for a couple seconds of footage. I mean, I'm a comic artist, I'm used to that, but still. I think I'm going to change the font, so bear with me. Thank you. I think this is gonna work. I'm just making this from my brain, so... Oh, crap. Okay. 8? Okay, 8. I think we can do better than 8. What? Ah. $10. Okay. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is start breeding some horses, starting with these two, because this has good health and that has good speed. So why don't we take the good speed horse back and go get a bunch of sugar and all the good things, and then we will start looking for a good horse. This is a slow horse. Wait, since when can you not give sugar to horses? Okay, BRB. Okay, so turns out you need golden carrots. So I've got 3 master farmer villagers here that will give me golden carrots. No. I think you use the sugar to grow them. I think that's what it is. Yes. Okay, we are back, and this is our horsey. This is the one that I end up with. Currently, he is just in my warehouse. So I think he needs a home that isn't just a horse hole. Although I'm pretty sure he will end up in quite a few horse holes. So why don't we go and find a spot, and while I am doing that, I will put in some clips of me working on the nether. Okay, so I'm just right outside our villager breeder and our armory, and here I'm thinking just right in this hill here, a little pod for our horse. Nothing too crazy, just a fancy horse hole. Let's be real, it's a fancy horse hole. I don't really have a drawing for this or anything, it's just gonna freestyle it for a bit. Not sure if I'm gonna do it in time-lapse form or not yet, but we will see. think this is like a great combination because obviously I've said one of my favorite floor blocks is the smooth stone, but it makes a really awkward transition sometimes if you're doing like a basement, right? So I like having this option of like this kind of half... Oh crap. Okay. Sorry, horsey. I like having this like transition for like basement blocks. Like I feel like it looks like a different enough block that it doesn't just look like the hole is entirely made of, I don't know. Sure that it's horse height, even though it is glass, so we'll be fine because it's transparent. You can't suffocate in glass. But that's horse height there. I'm a really bad terraformer, so I hope this looks okay. Just one of those things I'm just not good at. Maybe I'll try and practice some terraforming in this Let's Play. Alright, so at the beginning of this episode, we found out about the golden carrots thing, and it got me thinking while I was working with these guys, is they take like pumpkins and stuff, and I have an absurd amount of pumpkins. So why don't we make a little farmer area? And while I'm thinking about this, I want to talk a little bit about what I'm going for here. I want to talk a little bit more about my build progress in this world. As you can see, we're in episode 12, and I'm not very far along progression-wise. That's on purpose. I tend not to do a whole lot of progress very fast because it helps me slow down and think more about my storytelling and my builds. For example, I'm not planning on getting wings or defeating the dragon for a long time yet. It gives me a nice goal for the future. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to start doing some cool builds and get into some really cool things. For starters, I'd like to tell you about the mothership. I've already kind of done a whole ramble about it, but my thoughts weren't very cohesive, so now I'm writing it down and I'm going to re-explain it with some more clarity. The mothership is the first proper expedition vessel to touch down on Ganymede's surface. Beforehand, there had been ships that came to survey and test for the possibility of terraforming. Then the ship was built and sent out carrying teams of researchers, scientists, and a terraforming crew, and enough civilians for a small station settlement. She landed just southeast of the broadcaster's soon-to-be weather tower. That's where my ideas are going to fit together. Earlier I said that the radio tower was the first thing built in this settlement, correct? Well, a more accurate explanation would be the first building made after the moon became habitable. I really want to portray age through these builds. The first ones along this street I've started out are simple for myself, and they're the newest and most polished buildings in the settlement, made soon after the broadcast tower. These would be the buildings being prepared for the civilians' new home. Before all this, however, the mothership needed to behave like a small city, stocked with everything a growing population needed to survive and thrive before being moved onto their new planet. This means that the mothership would have been the first thing on the moon, and thus the oldest. It was there before any of the greenery or water, and I want to reflect that by making it almost one with the environment. I think I'd like to place it on that mega taiga across the lake. As far as the lake goes, that used to be a moon crater that was turned into a lake during the terraforming. I think I'd really like to show some of the old machinery around the mothership from when the terraforming project took place as well. Now, what this place is in the sense of our Let's Play is it will be my main base, with my storage room and all the good things that you need for a Minecraft base. Probably a second iron farm too, because I think I'd be out of range of our current one. I'm also planning on having the architecture slowly get more and more grungy as we get closer to the mothership, as if the world slowly expanded via urban sprawl. Some things I'd like to incorporate as well is that everything that isn't these more polished builds needs to be completely climate and environmentally controlled, due to at the time they would have been built when the moon couldn't support life. I think this really gives me an opportunity to work through several build styles and skill levels. Like mentioned before, the current level we're on is polished and new, which helped me get more into this build style. I do tend to build similarly to this recently, but I feel a little bit out of practice, so this section is a good starting ground. And as we move closer, I'd like to show more of the themes I discussed. Now, I was talking about farmer villagers, and I did go on this tangent for a reason. I'd like to add some large fields closer to where the mothership will be. I think it would be great filler for starters, so I don't cram builds together, but also don't have these unfinished looking spaces between them. But it also creates more environmental storytelling elements of there being a period in time when the settlers had been living on the moon in clean air before everyone was evacuated. Let's plant some seeds. Okay, so I've AFK'd a little bit, and this is what we've got. I honestly kind of wish I could, like, freeze some of the crops in this position. Oh. Because I really like this, like, organic vibe, but there's not really a ton I can do. Maybe I could mix in some, like, carrots and stuff so that we get the green, but what I really like is that kind of almost finished wheat texture. It's great. I love it. But unfortunately, we can't keep it. So, the next thing that I'd like to do is talk about the actual farmers, because this is just wheat. It's just wheat. Nothing but wheat. Oh, also, I'd like to note that the... what are these called? Dry grass, I think? Dry grass, yeah. Is inspired by both Grian and Mumbo Jumbo's wheat fields, adding a little bit of texture. I like it. Looks good. But yeah, didn't come up with that on my own. Which a lot of you probably guessed, but I like to give credit where credit is due. So, what I would like to do is add a windmill here, except not like your classic Dutch windmill. It's gonna look more like those windmills that we have now that have the big white blades. Because I think the kind of idea of Atom Punk is a lot of taking that sustainable energy kind of vibe. I feel like what I'm going for is atom punk builds mixed in with like solar energy and stuff like that, because in the grand scheme of things, nuclear energy actually is pretty good. I think I heard recently, I will fact check myself on this. Okay, just gonna stop myself real quick before I give misinformation. I was going on a ramble about the things that were in my brain about nuclear, and I wasn't entirely correct, so here's some more correct information. I am not a nuclear energy scientist. This is just what I found online. We're currently at a point where nuclear energy is supplying about 10% of global electricity and works with zero carbon emissions, but has the caveat of radioactive waste, construction costs, and issues with like public opinion, especially with past disasters, and as well as there was like a whole kind of, I guess propaganda is the right word, of convincing people that it's not a good thing. Done correctly, it is a good thing, and in this futuristic world that I am creating, it was done correctly, and that is one of the main sources of power for the people of this civilization. But the reason I'm going on this whole tangent about nuclear energy in Minecraft is because I want to integrate where these people are getting their power sources from. And a lot of the time when we think space travel, we think big sources of power. We need some way to draw a lot of energy. It's taken me so long to try to pronounce this, and I'm probably still butchering it. What I'm talking about is the Kardashev scale, which is this theory that says that there's 3 types of civilizations. Type 1 can harness the entire energy of its own planet, Type 2, the entire energy of its sun, and Type 3, all the energy emitted by its galaxy. And what this civilization here would be, I'm guessing, I'm not a scientist, would be somewhere in a 1.5 area. I think we're 0.8, I think, us as a civilization. I'm gonna Google that and double check. Oh, I was really close. We're a 0.7. Okay. That was such a tangent. I swear that this has a meaning in my brain. What I wanted to say is that I want several sources of where these people get their energy. Number 1 is nuclear, and number 2 is other clean sources of energy like wind, water, and solar. So all that to say, I'm gonna build a big old futuristic windmill, and I'm gonna stick some farmer villagers in it. And it's gonna be right here. Oh, and before I get into building, as usual when I do a building that isn't just like freestyle, I have a drawing, so this is what it is gonna look like, hopefully similarly. This is gonna be also our first build that is slightly older than the other ones. It's gonna be about the same age as the radio tower. Alright, as you can see, I have in fact completed the interior of our windmill, which means it is time to do some villager stuff. Alright, we have finished the windmill, and let me give you a tour here. So we got this like little walkway going around it, kind of reminiscent of the same walkway that we have up there. I wanted them to kind of match a little bit, as well as it's a lot more distressed than these buildings because it came around the same time as that guy. And the blades were kind of annoying, but this is the best that I could do, and I'm not gonna like build stone them, cause number one, I don't know how to do that, and number two, it kind of makes sense lore-wise, you know? Like, it was shut off, right? So it's not actually needing to spin because it's not generating energy, so yeah. Then in here, we've got a bunch of farmer villagers. I don't have nearly as many of them as I have of my other villagers, just because I don't really see myself using them a whole lot. And then up here, we've got kind of like an energy core sort of thing. I just needed something to do with the rest of this space. I didn't want to just like leave it empty. So maybe this is like where they're storing the power. I don't know. Something like that. But yeah, this is what I have ended up with. This is turning out to be a little bit of a shorter episode here, but I don't have anything else that I can really get into without it being another, like, 20 minutes of the episode. So I think I am gonna call it here, and let's get into our outro and our maps. Okay, this was one hell of a map. So I had to use, I think it was 3 more maps than usual, and this is what we ended up with. We've got our, windmill over there with our fields. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out. We even got some of the path in there. It's great. I love it. Alright, and with that, we have come to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye!